Is gold a good investment? You bet your bottom dollar it is. I have had great successes with gold over my decade-long stacking journey, achieving quite the stack for my own personal collection. And I'm very proud of that. The hard work that goes into stacking gold is not to be underestimated. It's a good thing to own, but it's not necessarily the best thing to own. There are plenty of different alternatives in this big crazy world for your money. Whether or not gold is right for you is anybody's guess, and ultimately it's going to come down to individual financial circumstances. By the way, if you want to shout at me for holding my gold with bare hands and dropping them all over the table, then please feel free to comment down below. We're going to dive in and talk about whether or not gold is even an investment, and whether it's even a good investment, and what makes me stack it and want more of it every time I get these sovereigns out and play with them. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble, where we have down-to-earth discussions about all things precious and shiny. And as you can see, we have a lot of precious shiny things out on the table here. We're going to be talking about gold, and I did a video recently asking the question, is silver a good investment? So I thought it only right to posit the question, is gold a good investment? Now, as with the video I did on silver, I'm afraid there is no one easy answer to say yes or no as to whether gold is a good investment, and whether or not it even classifies as an investment is going to be down to individual preferences, circumstances, finances, geographies, and a whole host of other things. But what I can at least do here on my channel, including throwing sovereigns all across my table, is share some of my history, my thoughts, my goods, my bads, things I've done well, things I've not quite done so well on the gold front, and how that has fed into my strategy. As a gold stacker and investor, I say investor because I'm going to kick off the ball rolling by saying that I don't view gold as an investment. Now that might seem a little bit strange to some people. Surely if you're buying something and then hoping for it to go up in value and then you're selling it, then it's an investment. And to a certain degree, I would agree with you. But at the same time, gold being this special asset class that sits outside of the world of stocks, shares, and money in the bank and other things you might call investments like cryptocurrencies, speculative things, for example, even, for example, silver. In the video that I did just last week talking about silver and whether it's a good investment, the answer there was I think that silver is an investment because it is a lot more volatile. Gold is static, or at least static relative to currencies, and that's the big thing that I want to talk about. Now, as we go through this video, don't forget to like if you're enjoying our content, and if you are not subscribed, then do subscribe as we march on to our 75,000 subscriber giveaway, where you would be able to win one of these amazing Sigma precious metal investor models, courtesy of Trusty Metrics. So whilst we go throughout this video, we're also going to do some spot checking on some of the gold sovereigns here as well. So is gold even an investment? That's the top load question here for me. And as I said, I don't believe that gold is an investment because I think that it is much more of a monetary metal. It's of course got history as a monetary metal and it's got a lot more going for it on that side of things. What I would say though is that it can be treated like an investment if you are buying certain types of gold, if you're buying premium stuff. As with the silver, anything that has premium, in my opinion, can be classified as an investment. So if you are, for example, looking to buy shield-backed sovereigns, those often do have a premium and you're trying to trade on those premiums. Perhaps if you're able somehow to find a shield sovereign for spot price, you could probably turn around and sell that for a little bit of a profit. But I kind of feel like, and I've been there and done that, I've bought sovereigns and sold sovereigns as a private individual, as a business, I've done both, and I've been there and done that, and it's kind of always just been like, you make a tenner on a coin, you sell 1,000 coins, you make a lot of money. But at the same time, you kind of just feel like gold is this thing that it's actually better in the long run just to hold it. And that's one of the big things about bullion dealers, is that they do end up just gaining the system by buying in gold in mass from the public, and then they will be able to hold that gold for a long period of time, and then they will, of course, sell it at the profit at some point in the future. Yes, gold can go down as well as up, and there are definitely times when that has happened for me as a stacker and investor, but it is not that much of a problem for me. I remember buying things And I remember there being like £1,500 an ounce of gold, thinking, it's quite high, and then gold shoots up again. And it always has, and it always will continue to do that. So a lot of really good things to say about gold, but that doesn't mean it's an investment. I think gold is much more of a hedge for me. Is it a good hedge? We'll find out after this quick message from our sponsor today. Today's video is sponsored by Giant Mining Corporation, whose ticker symbol is BFGFF, and that can be found down in the description box below. Now, I'm not here to give financial advice, and I would encourage you to go and do your own research if you're interested into their operations. President Trump has signed several historic executive orders to protect copper production in the United States. Trump's investigation into copper imports aimed at bolstering national security is the leading edge in a worldwide revolution in mining. Copper demand is surging while supply struggles to keep pace. Copper is often referred to as the new oil, and it is the heart of America's future. Giant Mining Corporation is positioned very well in the world of copper mining. Not only does it own a copper, silver, gold project in Nevada, but it also recorded its best ever drilling intercepts in September 2024, with additional great results in the past few weeks. Nevada, where Giant Mining's copper project is situated, has constantly ranked amongst the top mining jurisdictions in the world, which is why I'm bringing this company to your attention. Giant Mining's balance sheet is now fully funded for its drilling programs in 2025. Giant Mining is well positioned to accelerate its exploration efforts and potentially capitalize on emerging copper market opportunities. Historic underground mines at the Majua Hill project produced copper, tin and silver from the early 1900s to the 1950s, including over 2.8 million pounds of copper, 184,000 ounces of silver, 5,800 ounces of gold and 21,000 pounds of tin. Now, with all that said, it is important to remind you that this is not investment advice, and I would caution anyone to do their own in-depth research if interested. So, if you are interested, go and check them out. There is a link in the description box to all the bits you've seen here today. Once again, thank you to Giant Mining Corporation for sponsoring today's video, and now back on with our main topic. So, is gold a good investment? If we're going to call it investment, sure, we'll agree to disagree on that, but is it good? Is it worth buying? Well, from my tenure of owning gold over the last 10 years or so, gosh, is it 10 years? I'll tell you a story. I bought my first piece of gold back in 2014, 15, I think it's 15, before I started YouTube, and I bought a sovereign off eBay for £180. Can you imagine paying £180 for a sovereign? You can't pay £180 for a half sovereign now, but I did, and then I sold it for £210 when gold had gone up a little bit, and I thought, yeah, that's amazing, I've made a load of profit on it. And so from my perspective, that gold coin was an investment. It was very much money, out, 180 out, money in, 210 in, perfect. CGT free, excellent. I mean, back in those days, you had a huge allowance for CGT, so it wasn't ever even a worry. But the fact is that that was an investment. And then only when I got the gold bug, the silver bug, the YouTube bug, going down the rabbit holes of what real money is and should be, that I discovered that actually holding this stuff gives you way more value over that long period than not. So I would say that if you're buying gold in a non-financial advice kind of way, because I'm not here to give financial advice, I would say that having gold is a very good thing to have long term. Now, it's all, of course, dependent on individual financial circumstances, and if you are looking to put money away for a long period of time, one could argue that stocks and shares might get you a better return. I have seen a lot of different bits of evidence out there to say that stocks and shares have performed equally with gold, but it's dependent on the time frames, cherry picked over a certain time period. It's always very interesting to see how those different time periods are expressed and where things can be. Often you can get a lot of bias when you're seeing those bits of stats and figures from different companies and bullion dealers giving their 2 cents worth. So always do that with a pinch of caution. If gold is so good though, why don't I go all in on gold? And I have asked myself that a few times over the last couple of years, especially in this last few years where we've seen, gosh, I tell you what, the sun's starting to blare through the window. So let's go there so that we don't get so much horrible contrast. So I've asked myself, why on earth didn't I not buy a metric ton of gold? Literally, figuratively, I don't know if I could have afforded a metric ton of gold. That would have been a sight for sore eyes for sure. But why didn't I go all in on gold? Well, I mean, as with any investment, I would highly recommend that anybody not go all in on anything. whilst gold is a good thing that you can definitely argue has done very well over a long period of time, going all in on anything is very risky. And of course, owning physical gold is very different to just owning stocks and shares in a portfolio online with a brokerage. That's going to be a lot better protected, certainly from theft, for example. Of course, owning physical gold does come with its issues and potential risks. And the gold that you see here on the table has been taken out of secure storage and will be going straight back into secure storage as I'm finished with my video here. It's very important to have those protections in place if you're going to own physical gold. And that doesn't come free. Of course, if you're paying for off-site storage in a secure facility, that is going to cost you money. There is no avoiding that. But the additional benefits of having physical gold really do outweigh, in my mind, anything else. And that's why I would say gold is a good product to own, but not necessarily an investment. Certainly physical gold. You can do better on gold if you just have contracts on gold on ETFs or not necessarily contracts. We laymen can't get contracts on gold, but you know what I mean, just having a gold tracker. And a lot of people have said to me over the years I've been doing this, the best way to buy gold is stick it in an ISA on an ETF and then it's tax-free. And yeah, that is definitely a thing. But at the same time, these are tax-free. These are CGT-free, capital gains tax exempt coins here in the United Kingdom. Any coin of the realm made by the United Kingdom, so Royal Mint basically, is exempt. Bars, bullion bars, technically not, although there is some dubious questions about what's called a chattel and whether or not a bar can be a chattel. So, for example, this bar here, this 1 ounce gold bar, could theoretically be exempt from capital gains taxes under the rules of chattels, but I would very strongly recommend getting prior approval from a qualified financial expert. But the point is, tax expert, for example, the point is that these are a fantastic, inverted commas, investment in that they are capital gains exempt. Now, if I'd put the amount of money that we've got here on the table into these coins in a different product, I would likely have to pay a lot of capital gains. But I'm sitting on some really nice paper gains. I haven't actually sold them yet, of course, because they're here on the table. And those gains, when I do finally make them, will be completely tax-free. And so that has been an incredible gain for me. You know, you look at the comparisons, you've got to really have a bigger picture, look at what's right for you in your financial circumstances. Is owning a lot of physical gold worth the risk for you? Is then there a better asset that you can potentially hold? If that asset is potentially better, is it 30% better? Or whatever the CGT rate, 28% I think it is right now for higher rate taxpayers. Is it 28% better than what you might hold in the gold? Because if it's not, then holding gold is better. There is just no avoiding that. And then there's the personal growth that comes from owning gold. I think that there is a lot of personal growth from my perspective of owning gold. I've always had, an eye for finances and keeping on top of my own personal finances and saving money and making sure we make smart financial decisions. But physically owning gold makes you really perk up on those, make sure you're all quite right about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And of course, like testing gold is really important as well, making sure that what you're getting is genuine. I bought a lot of gold. A lot of these coins have come from secondary market sources. So it's important to test them. And these machines are certainly worth their weight in gold when it comes to that. So there's a whole host of different things that might constitute whether or not gold is a good investment. In summary, from my perspective, there is no doubt in my mind, and you can see why, because I have a whole bunch of sovereigns out here on the table, that they are indeed worthwhile owning. So I would say to you, if you are looking at getting gold, then it is something that is definitely a good thing to own, but it is going to come down to your own individual financial circumstances. And it is very important to say that everybody is different. And yes, you can look at the table here and we can see that I have obviously a lot of gold here. And this is not just my income. This is, of course, our household's income. Mrs. Backyard Bullion works. Mrs. Backyard Bullion stacks. You know, a lot of this is just stuff that we've saved, scrimped on over the last decade and put together. You know, we had savings too that we've put into gold as well as just sitting in a bank doing nothing, because that's, you know, something that I feel very strongly about. If you've got money in a bank, it's just literally eroding away to inflation. This is part of a bigger picture portfolio. We both own stocks and shares. We both own gold. We both own silver to a certain degree. You know, we're married, so anything that I own, she owns, and vice versa. So there is, of course, a lot to be said for this stuff, and it is very good to have. But it is down to individual circumstances and finances. So always bear that in mind. Don't get stack envy. I mean, one person might just have a sovereign and that'd be a big deal for them. And that's great, and that's absolutely fine. But as you might say here, you've got what? I've got 60 odd sovereigns on the table here. That's a good thing from me. And this all pretty much came from the hard work that we've put in over the last decade in our careers. So there we go, 62 sovereigns. There you go. Cool Kids Club members, you can do the 62 sovereigns as your answer to the Cool Kids Club conundrum. Is that even a question? It is now. And then you can let me know if you're super cool, what the approximate value of 62 sovereigns is, because that's probably a little bit too much to be flashing out here on a video. But as I said, they're going to go back into secure storage, locked away until the next time I want to get them out and have a bit of a play with them. If you want to shout at me in the comments, by the way, for handling my gold with my bare hands, then please do. It's provocative, it gets the people going, and it also helps the YouTube algorithm as well. So please feel free to shout at me. Otherwise, that's it from me. Cool Kids Club, quote me 62, and if you're super cool, quote me the value of the sovereigns that we've got on the table here. That would be amazing. And then we'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to go and check out Trusty Metrics for all of their machines. They are absolutely amazing. And if you're not subscribed, then make sure you subscribe, because you might be in with a chance to win one of these machines on our 75,000 subscriber giveaway. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.